Namaste, Hamesha Kushro Bitia. I am JVN Dr. Minakshi, Assistant Professor in Department of Shalakya Tantra, Faculty of Ayurvedic Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. Today in this session, we will discuss the management of a case of corneal ulcer. First, we should do the clinical evaluation. Each case which comes to you, the corneal ulcer, should be subjected to thorough history taking. We should do the proper history taking to elicit the mode of onset. The it was a sudden onset or slow onset, and the duration of disease, whether it was acute or chronic, and the severity of symptoms, whether symptoms are mild, moderate, or severe. According to that, these things you will know through the proper history taking of the patient, so that you can make a provisional diagnosis of the case. Then you will go for the general physical examination, especially for the build, nourishment, anemia, and any immunocompromising disease, because these all things will cause a particular type of corneal ulcer. The next is the ocular examination. We should include the diffuse light examination for gross lesions of the lids, conjunctiva, and cornea, including testing for sensations. Then regurgitation test and syringing to rule out lacrimal sac infection. The patient may have the chronic dacryocystitis. To rule out that particular disease of the lacrimal sac, we have to do the regurgitation test and the syringing. Then microscopic biomicroscopic examination after staining of the corneal ulcer with 2% freshly prepared aqueous solution of fluorescein dye or sterilized fluorescein impregnated filter paper strip to note the size, shape, depth, margin, floor, and vascularization of the corneal ulcer. On biomicroscopy, also note the presence of keratic precipitates, which are known as the KP in short, at the back of cornea. They may be there in the anterior chamber. You have to know the depth and the contents of the anterior chamber, then the color and pattern of iris, and the condition of crystalline lens. So you have to all examine all these through the slant lamp biomicroscopic examination. Then we should go for the laboratory investigations. First, we should do the routine laboratory investigations such as hemoglobin, total leukocyte count, differential leukocyte count, erythrocyte sedimentation rate, blood sugar level, fasting and PP. Complete urine and stool examination should be carried out in each case. Then the microbiological investigations should be done. These studies are essential to identify the causative organism, confirm the diagnosis, and guide the treatment to be instituted. Materials for such investigations is obtained by scraping the base and margins of the corneal ulcer under local anesthesia using 2% xylocaine. With the help of a modified Kimura spatula or by simply using the band tip of a 20 gauge hypodermic needle. The material obtained is used for the following investigations, like gram and Gizma stain smears for possible in identification of infecting organisms. Then 10% potassium hydroxide wet preparation for identification of fungal hyphae, and CFW calcofluor white stain preparation is viewed under fluorescein microscope for fungal filaments, the walls of which appear bright apple green. Then culture on the blood agar medium for aerobic organisms, and culture on the Seborrhoeids dextrose agar medium for fungi. Then comes the treatment part. First, we should go for the treatment of the uncomplicated corneal ulcer. The bacterial corneal ulcer is a vision threatening condition and demands the urgent treatment by identification and eradication of causative bacteria. The treatment of corneal ulcer can be discussed under three headings. First is the specific treatment for the cause. Second is the non-specific supportive therapy. Third is the physical and general measures. First, the specific treatment. We should give the topical antibiotics. Initial therapy means before the results of culture and sensitivity are available should be with combination therapy to cover the both gram negative and gram positive organisms. Means you will send the sample for culture and sensitivity test, but that will take you 2 to 3 days. So we should not wait for the report of the culture and sensitivity and then identify that particular organism. Then antibiotic should be given. This is the ideal way to do, but but bacterial corneal ulcers should be treated as soon as possible because they can affect our vision. So we should start the initial therapy with the broad spectrum antibiotics, which cover both the gram negative and gram positive organisms. It is preferable to start fortified gentamicin 14 milligram per ml or fortified tobramycin 14 milligram per ml eye drops along with the fortified cefazolin 50 milligram per ml every half to 1 hour for first few days and then reduce to 2 hourly. Once the favorable response is obtained, the fortified drops can be substituted by more diluted commercially available eye drops like ciprofloxacin eye drops or ofloxacin eye drops or getafloxacin eye drops. Then systemic antibiotics, these are usually not required. However, a cephalosporin and aminoglycoside or oral ciprofloxacin 70 milligram twice daily may be given in fulminating cases with perforation and when sclera is also involved. Then the non-specific treatment, cycloplegic drugs, preferably 1% atropine eye ointment or drops should be used to reduce the pain from ciliary spasm and to prevent the formation of posterior synecdoche from secondary iridocyclitis. Atropine also increases the blood supply to anterior uvea by relieving the pressure on the anterior ciliary arteries and so brings the more antibodies in the aqueous humor. It also reduces exudation by decreasing hyperemia and vascular permeability. Other cycloplegics other than the atropine, which can be used in 2%, are homatropine eye drops. Then next is the systemic analgesics and anti-inflammatory drugs such as paracetamol and ibuprofen relieve the pain and decrease edema. Then vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin B complex and vitamin C, they all help in the early healing of ulcer. And then next is the physical and general measures. Hot fermentation. The local application of heat, preferably the dry heat, it gives the comfort, reduces pain, and causes the vasodilatation. Then dark goggles may be used to prevent photophobia, and rest, good diet, and fresh air may have a soothing effect on the patient. Then next is the treatment of the non-healing corneal ulcer. If the ulcer progresses despite the above therapy, the following additional measures should be taken. First, the removal of any cause of non healing ulcer. A thorough search for any already missed cause not allowing the healing should be made, and when found, such factors should be eliminated. The common causes of non-healing ulcers are as under local causes, the associated raised intraocular pressure, concretions, misdirected cilia, impacted foreign body, dacryocystitis, inadequate therapy, wrong diagnosis, lack of ophthalmos, and excessive vascularization of ulcer. Systemic causes, the diabetes mellitus, severe anemia, malnutrition, chronic debilitating diseases, and patients on systemic steroids. These are all causes should be eradicated. Then mechanical debridement of ulcer. to remove the necrosed material by scraping the floor of the ulcer with a spatula under local anesthesia may hasten the healing. Then cauterization of the ulcer may also be considered in non-responding cases. The cauterization may be performed with pure carbolic acid or 10 to 20% trichloroacetic acid. Then bandage soft contact lens may also help in healing. Then periotomy. The severing of perilimbal conjunctival vessels may be performed when excessive corneal vascularization is hindering the healing. Then next is the treatment of impending perforation. When ulcer progresses and perforation seems imminent, the following additional measures may help to prevent perforation and its complications. First is no strain. The patient should be advised to avoid sneezing, coughing, and straining during stool. He should be advised the strict bed rest. Pressure bandage should be applied to give some external support. Lowering of intraocular pressure by simultaneous use of acetazolamide, intravenous mannitol, and oral glycerol, timolol eye drops, and even paracentesis with slow evaluation of aqueous from the anterior chamber may be performed. Then tissue adhesive glue can be used. Conjunctival flap give support to the weak tissue. Bandage, soft contact lens, penetrating therapeutic keratoplasty should be done. Then last is the treatment of perforated corneal ulcer. The best is to prevent perforation. However, if perforation has occurred, immediate measures should be taken to restore the integrity of perforated cornea. Depending upon the size of perforation and availability, measures like use of tissue adhesive glues, covering with conjunctival flap, use of bandage, soft contact lens, or therapeutic keratoplasty should be undertaken. Best is an urgent therapeutic keratoplasty. So our session completes here. Thank you so much. This session is powered by Digital Version 2.0, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box. I will resolve it. Thank you.